I can't believe this happened.
Just suddenly like, oh, quad amputee running, oh, exciting, and whatever. And yeah, and the expectation level is here, so it's okay. Yeah, I've had a kid who walked up to me and said, wow, I like your shoes, it's so cool. I'm runner, I'm disabled, I am mostly fall in sister category. So even if, and again, when you're talking about casteism, it's not something that's still stuck in the village. 5 marks answer. The dialogue that I had with myself is that, if babe, we can do this, then we're fine. I run.
Okay, this is amazing.
Running for me has given me the wings. Hi, I'm Shalini, and I've had the best time ever.
Yeah! When did this running stuff begin for you, Shalini? Like, I remember watching one of these like Insta posts that you put up, which basically, I think the caption has just cracked me up so hard, man. It was something like, my neighbors are going to hate me for all the noise I make in the morning. It's just like you running, your ass off. And I was like, okay, this is amazing. So when did this run begin and how long have you been running?
I started running since my surgeries, and I got my amputations done in 2013.
Okay.
And 2014 was when I started to run. So I got my prosthetics and I was up and running I was up and crawling on my feet in February 2014. And then I just decided that, listen, there had to be a better way of doing this, because I was really struggling with doing like very normal, basic things in life. And I thought that maybe getting help would be important. And that's how I kind of met my coach. And the whole of first 1 year, I only walked. Because it was, we had to get that right first.
Of course.
And then, he said, do you want to try running? And we said, okay, we'll try. And it happened. And we were like, oh, it's possible. My body still remembers how to do this. And then along the way, then the prosthetics happened. And guys at Otterbock called me up and said that, listen, we have this new pair that's come up. And we're hoping that somebody would try it. And I said, come on, bring it on, baby. Let's do this. I mean, obviously, like I went to them before that asking for a blade, but they didn't want to give me one because I'm a very high risk for a prosthetic, because I'm a quad amputee. If you fall, you can't break your fall with any form of fashion, right? So it's extremely dangerous. Yeah. So then we finally got one, and then that's when I ran the first TCS run for 10 kilometers.
Okay.
And then we ran again the next year. And suddenly like, oh, quad amputee running, oh, exciting, and whatever. And yeah. And that's how the whole running started. It's cathartic. It's almost healing for me, running was. Sometimes when you can't do a lot of things in your life, and then when you're able to do something as large as it, just kind of reinstates your own faith in your own self. And this is something also about just physically being able to push yourself. That gives you a great sense of accomplishment, if I can use that word. Yeah. And then we started to run professionally, like I'm a 100-meter sprinter now.
That's just insane. Like, have you always been a sporty kind of person, or was this something newly discovered? What are you saying?
I did like school, like you're in school and you had those houses, right?
Yes.
Colors.
Blue house.
Blue house. Yeah, blue house. So, yeah. So I think the last time I ever ran was maybe one of that in school, where, you're part of that, whatever, the relay, or you're not like an athlete, but you're like, you're like one of the okay ones out of the worst ones, and you get a chance to run. The expectation level is here, so it's okay. For everyone. So that's all that I did with sport, but I've always enjoyed dance and things like that. So I've been a physically active person. I've always enjoyed dancing, and before I fell sick, I would do like aerobics workouts and things like that. So something to kind of keep my heart pumping for 45 minutes. Yeah, I would do that, but never professionally running. It's a new space.
Wow.
It's not an easy thing as well. I'm 41, so it's like
1 second. Wait.
Hold it.
1 second. Did you say 41?
Yes, I just turned 41 this April.
A happy birthday, liar, but carry on.
Okay, did you get that? Yeah. So you do realize that age is not really on your side, like at least from what you've heard and what research says.
Yeah.
So you have to like doubly work hard to make this happen. So yeah, so that's where we are right now.
This is really cool. I find it so interesting that it's not like, yes, you were someone that was in the arts and your mode of expression was dance at the time. And now for you to have discovered running, and for that you actually alluded to it as being cathartic. So it is something that is meaningful to you, and it's not just something.
Yeah, because the thing is that, see, when I had like amputated and all of that, you're really thinking like, shit, what am I going to do with my life, right? Does anything at all remain the same? I was so unsure if I would ever get back to work. I wasn't sure if life would be the same. I wasn't sure if I would get to go out anymore. I wasn't sure if I would get to travel. Like, there were just so many things you probably take for granted in your life that I thought that, okay, I don't think that's ever going to happen. So then when running really started to happen, it just felt like, okay, like I can do this. It's not such a big deal. And so then from that point, to then be able to train and run 10 kilometers, which like I'm thinking, even if I were able-bodied, is a big thing to do, right? It's not easy to run 10 kilometers. It is not. And I think along the line, this running the 10 kilometers and all of that had become to me that, Charles, if you can really do the 10, then you can deal with the rest of your life. It's tough doing 10 with prosthetics because your stumps in the prosthetic, the liner's there, you're profusely sweating. I had to take off my prosthetic multiple times and then put it back. The dialogue that I had with myself is that, if babe, we can do this, then we're fine, And that's what it became for me, that running for me has given me the wings that I had thought I had lost. That's the best way I describe it.
No, I hear you. Thanks for sharing. It certainly is something that is really hard to imagine, because I never considered that you might have to make, a pit stop for yourself, and then and fix things and then move along all on your own. It's not like, there's a lot of people out there helping you, but
I did have help.
Oh, no,
I did have help. Yeah, because I can't take off my prosthetics on my own and put them back on. Remember?
Oh, yes, of course. See, yes, I did not remember these.
Like it was a very glamorous run because I had like 10 assistants behind me, like running with water and like all of that. And then I had the camera crew with me as well. And then of course, like being Indian, we also had a lot of people who wanted their photograph with the Blade Runner. So, I had people who would come in front of me, slow down. I'm like, fuck off. We need to finish this run first. And they like with a selfie with me. I'm like, just get the fuck out of my face. But yeah.
No fair. I have to ask you this question now, Shalini. So I literally forgot right now from this conversation. I had forgotten that your hand situation.
Yeah.
I talked about how you have to fix yourself, and then you have reminded me. So is that like, to you, when people forget that? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Do you want to remind, how does that?
No, it's all right. I mean, I think I still have a few of my friends that forget it. I mean, and these are friends that I've known all my life, who would be sitting at a table and talking. They'll be like, pass me that curry, pass that spoon. And I'm just giving them that look like, are you fucking serious? And then they'll go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, yeah, it's all right. But I think sometimes it's good because, I guess the point therefore is that they no longer just see you for your physical self.
Right.
And they see beyond that you haven't really changed in any form or fashion from the person that you were, that they have to make adjustments to see you differently. That's the way I look at it. And then, of course, it's great because they apologize and then you can make them feel lousy about it. And it's nice, yeah. And you can guilt trip them into doing something else. So I guess it works.
Fine, I apologize. What is it that you want me to do, Shalini?
Yeah, I know. Are you based out of Bombay? You are, right?
Yeah.
I should want to do stand-up comedy one day, so I'll get in touch with you someday.
Oh, for sure. You definitely should do stand-up comedy. We're doing Zoom shows where that's pretty interesting because, of course, the lockdown and no one is really stepping out. So, yeah, whenever you should definitely,
See, you see how this works?
What do you mean?
See how this, Like, I guilt trip you into saying something terrible, and then I get something back in return.
Oh, you had guilt tripped me. There is no guilt tripping me. I apologize for not feeling guilty in the least. So there will be no tipping. Ha! Okay then. So it's time for us to play a game, because right now there's been a slide. It seemed to me that we were kind of wrapping up one part of conversation. And what I do over here is whenever Charlie Brown barks, he has been surprisingly quiet. It seems like, yeah, he's not very bothered by your voice. Usually he's a big jealous puppy, and the minute I'm talking to somebody, whenever conversation happens, he has to be like, so this is him mostly, like barking and screaming, but he's sleeping on the side. He's completely zenned out. But we play this game now called ABC. Do you know what ABC is?
No. Do I get a gift at the end of it?
I mean, yes, you get the gift of time with me, Shalini. But what this is that we have conversation, and what the conversation is going to be like is just going to be, as most conversations, a back and forth of sentences, but the first word of each sentence should follow the alphabetical order. And I say, hey, what's up, Shalini? So the letter after H is I. Then you can say, I'm doing great, what's up with you? Then
okay. Got it.
So we have, it's a common improv game. It's called ABC. And do you want to go? Or do you want me to go?
I think you go.
All right. Shalini, this has been so great of you to have agreed to do this.
Thank you.
Utna hi?
Yeah, why not? That's a sentence in itself. Oh, no. Oh. What did you say now? Oh, wow. Visceral.
What is this? You are just blurting out words now.
It's visceral, but I don't think that's the right answer to your question.
What are you saying, babe? What are you saying?
How is that not an answer though?
No, but after W comes WX, no. This is a horrible game. I dislike X, Y, and Z. We can end this here.
So I won.
How did you win? You have not won or anything. You say thank you and visceral. I am sorry. This is unacceptable. What is this?
No, I think I won. Yeah. I need the gift hamper if there is one.
This is coffee with Karan.
We weren't as bigoted and as bad as coffee with Karan. I think we were better.
Yeah, I think we were. I think we both get gift hampers. Yay.
Yay.
Charlie Brown has left. He's like, this is the most ridiculous game that he has ever witnessed ever in his whole life.
Has anybody else played this better? Like, really? Does this work?
But what has lockdown been like for you, Shalini? This is just the question that everyone's probably asking everyone.
It's not been so bad. I think everybody's been asking me that. And I honestly think that it's not been so bad. Maybe because I do have prior experience with quarantine, because I was sick like the whole of 2012 until I got my surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
So for 1.5, close to 2 years, I was in bed. And I had very limited visitors because I was prone to getting an infection from anyone. So I pretty much was home stuck for 2 years of my life. And I didn't see too many people. I didn't get out of my house. So this seems kind of easier.
The lockdown, all right.
Yes.
Wow.
So I think like today it's all right. Like I don't think we, especially I think urban, you or me, like we really don't need to complain, because I think what's the worst thing that's happening to us right now is maybe slow internet. Right?
No.
Everything else is all right. We have food to eat. We have a shelter. We're still watching Netflix and binging on Prime. We'll get to watch television. We're still eating and we're still ordering in food. So when we compare ourselves to all those people that are walking and that the people that are really struggling, mm-hmm. I don't think we even should say that we have a problem.
And I agree wholeheartedly. And this is stuff that I talk about a lot, because we have so many privileges from people who just live in the cities. and who have a
Yeah.
home to live in, like it's just like this work from home and stay home, stay safe. I mean, this means that you have a home and you have a job.
Home.
So shut the fuck up
Yeah.
and just count your privileges and just check your privileges before you start ranting and raving about how annoying it is. But I also do understand that it is a shift from normal, for people, and it is in a sense a loss of whatever their understanding and expectation of normal life.
True.
So
and I'm sure it can be traumatic for a lot of people as well. It could lead to a lot of mental issues. It could lead to a lot of I guess just living with your husband in the same house without getting to go out can be traumatic to a lot of people. Right? So I'm thinking, and then of course
we've also seen such an increase in the number of
in domestic violence.
Yeah.
So it's probably not easy for a lot of people as well, even the ones that have a home and have the option to work from home. I'm sure it's stressful as well. Yeah, but like for me, I think it's been pretty okay. So
fair. And so you're working from home as well? Is that what's going on? All right.
Yes.
And so what is a work day? What does a typical day look like for you?
I'm up at about 5:30 in the morning. Yes. So I'm on the roads. I run between 6:30 and 8. I'm done by 8, and then I do another Pilates class from about 8:30 to 9:30. Then I'm showering and eating and all of that, and I sit to work by about 11:30, and I work till about 5:36 if I have calls, and I take later calls that are later on. But then 6:30, I kind of typically wear my prosthetic, and then I'm like walking around the house or walking in front of my house because I've just sat for so long. Sometimes I do an evening class.
Okay.
And then I try and do meditation for an hour or so. I either do that in the morning or in the evening, and I always try and catch up reading. I enjoy reading, so that's something that I always pick up a book about it.
What are you reading these days?
Now I'm reading about the Shudras by B.R. Ambedkar. Who is a Shudra?
It's very interesting that you talk about this, because I just posted like a very angsty rant about, how casteism is such a prevalent issue in the country. And yes, Black Lives Matter. We must be supporting any steps and any voices that are being raised against any kind of discrimination. But there's so much of this discrimination that is caste-based happening.
Come on, I think it's ridiculous. Like when Indians talk about Black Lives Matter, like I'm dark-skinned and I know what I've been called all my entire life.
Yeah.
And the kind of things that have been told to me.
Yeah.
So I really think that as a race, as a culture, we're one of the people that are the biggest racists, right? Yeah. Whether it comes talking about color, whether it's about caste. And again, when you're talking about casteism, it's not something that's still stuck in the villages, right? My niece goes to college. She just joined college from school, and so she's in her first 11th grade, right? And she came back and she asked, so I'm Malayali and my sister is married to an Android, a Telagite. Mm-hmm. So we've never spoken to her about caste or any of those things. So she comes back home and asks us, what caste am I? And we're like asking her, why you've been asking us this question? Yeah. So these are 16-year-olds in college. So they've had a discussion about whose caste what is and what caste do you belong to. And my niece has no idea what caste because we haven't discussed it. And so we said that it doesn't matter, you don't have a caste because you're a combination of two sets of people, so you can't take anyone on. And that disturbed me to the point that this is coming from some place, which means the parents of these children are still having discussions about caste and about who's bigger and who's not. Yeah. And we're not going to be able to get this out of it, because if this is happening in Bangalore, in an urban city, in a so-called big college, it's an indicator of what's happening in the rest of India. So absolutely. I don't know, it's very scary.
Absolutely. No, this is true, Shalini. And I really feel like these are the things that are slightly, it's so much easier, I think, for us to look at a person of African descent and to be like, no, like Black Lives Matter. But when we look at just the shades of color that we have in our country and how people are responded to differently, or how people might be treated differently based on their own skin color or just physical appearance even. And then this caste discussion, for sure, like I get it. I recently, and this is a couple of years ago, I was at a party with a bunch of friends, okay? We're all reasonably educated, and you would imagine that, you have your head screwed on correctly.
Correct.
But in the middle of this birthday party, there became this segregation almost. And there was this whole group of people of an upper caste who were the upper caste people who decided that they are going to hang out only with themselves somehow. And it was like, and they were asking me, so what are you, Pooja? What are you? I was like, fuck you guys, man. Like, I don't want to be part of this discussion. And I just walked out, and it was just maddening. And this is the 2000s, for example.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we're in 2020. So I get what you're saying. This is deeply disturbing. Just the level of hypocrisy that exists. It's so much easier to look outside and to be like, Black Lives Matter.
Look at it this way, like there are so many, I know they're in Bangalore, at least there are a lot of kids who are African who come here to study. And if you see how badly they're treated,
Yes.
again, right, they're discriminated, they aren't given homes, they aren't allowed, and they're always typically spoken as a drug peddler.
Yes.
So what are we talking about? Like, we have no fucking right to say anything at all. Like, I don't even think we have the rights to hashtag it. Like, what? Like, fix your own backyard. It's easier to just point fingers. I mean, I get that it's bothered you seeing that video, but there's just so much of shit happening in our own country, and you wouldn't do a hashtag for them. Like, the migrants have been walking for how long, but nobody's talking about it, and nobody's bothered about it. Nobody's getting out on the streets and doing anything about it. I mean, neither am I.
No, but we are doing something about it, because even a conversation, I believe, is something. So even us, two people sitting having dialogue about this is important, because a lot of times it's so uncomfortable, for people to talk about these things, that silence is almost tacit permission for this to continue. So to even sit and to have conversation is a start. It is not going to be the most impactful. I understand what you're saying, but at least begin to have these conversation means to begin to acknowledge that, dude, there is a problem. We are not in denial, because I feel like we have convinced ourselves that we are our culture, and we are such.
In the Vedic culture, we had the first plastic surgery, and we built missile bombs. And we're living off that, right? Like, I'm like, what the fuck is that got to do with anything? All right, we did it. So what are we doing now? Now we still have humans getting into manual scavenging, for heaven's sake. So what's happening? What's the point if you did plastic surgery in the Vedic
or whether
times?
there was IVF related to how all these Kauravas were born and things like that.
Yes.
The internet, because Aakho Dekha Varnan and all of this stuff.
Correct. Yes. It was all there.
Stuff.
No, I agree. It all existed. And then dinosaurs came and ate everything.
No, it's crazy. And I to go back to what you were saying, like, what? I actually discovered that there is no hashtag, that is protesting casteism, for example. So I made up my own yesterday. So because casteism, the caste system comes from this cultural notion of purity versus pollution. Like, people are either pure or polluted. Apparently, this is the caste system. So I came up with a hashtag that says casteism is pure evil. Just because there is nothing that even exists. Can you imagine? This is how steeped it is. That, and I understand what you're saying, that while nothing is probably being done about it, and you and I are probably not out there doing revolutionary things, these kinds of conversations definitely have their place. It's a conversation that is very uncomfortable for a lot of people to have. So thank you for sharing your thoughts about this. I think it is really cool. We all have voices, and if we can use that to express how we feel, I think it might be a helpful way to recognize that there's many other people that also feel similarly, but we're just quiet about it. And the more we are quiet about it, the worse it is really for everyone that is going to be on the end of the spectrum, that really is at the receiving end of discrimination. There is no real conclusion to this conversation here, but it just makes me quite furious and quite angry. So yeah, I will calm myself down now. What else is up?
What else? You tell me. How's have you been working from home?
I have been working from home, and for me as a genetic counselor, a lot of my work has mostly been from home.
Did you say genetic counselor? So what does that entail?
Great question.
5 marks answer.
Okay, fine. I will underline everything that is important. Genetic counseling is really, it's a mix of two specialties, really. It's a mix of medical genetics and
Okay.
psychological counseling. So medical genetics, because a lot of genetic conditions largely go undiagnosed because there is no medical genetic specialty necessarily that
Hmm.
is out there in a very big kind of way. So there's people, few healthcare
Hmm.
practitioners who are specialized in medical genetics. So and genetic conditions are pretty common actually. And so a lot
Hmm.
of times people who have genetic conditions don't have a diagnosis even. And without a diagnosis,
Okay.
they don't know how to manage that condition. Or if they want to have a child,
Okay.
they don't know what their recurrence risk is, so they can make informed decisions, whatever that decision might be for them. And
Okay.
there's really no one to help facilitate that decision making process in a way that is um, honest, well balanced, and not veering towards the side of this baby is going to have Down syndrome, you should terminate the baby, because
Okay.
what most
Hmm.
conversations end up being like. It is, in my opinion, quite skewed towards normal, whatever the fuck normal is.
Fuck. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
So there's no one that is having these unbiased, honest conversations with people, and then no one is diagnosing these individuals that could actually benefit from therapies that are actually
Okay.
well established. If you have this condition, then these are the things to look out for. If you have this condition, then these
Okay.
are the things that you should do. So genetic counselor is someone who can make assessments of medical histories and family histories and come up with what we call a differential diagnosis, which is, uh, what is this looking like? It's almost like medical mystery solving. I refer to it as that, to try
Hmm.
and understand, okay, this might be going on. And then there's genetic testing that can be offered. So
Okay.
you can get a genetic diagnosis and have confirmation, and then things can be put into place. And it can be life saving
Oh, okay.
for a lot of people. They can have much better quality of life because then, clinical management is done in an informed kind of way. I don't know if I have lost you. So yeah, I don't know what the last thing was that you heard me say.
I get about clinical management, and then things becomes easier from there. Okay.
Correct. And
But I've never heard of anybody doing genetic counseling. You're the first person that I've ever heard. Is it like you have to study, like you do? It's not like doing a normal counseling course. You'll have to do like genetics as a study form.
yes, so genetic counseling. So I actually have a degree in genetic counseling that focused on clinical genetics and public health and psychological counseling. And there's many elements to genetic counseling training. And then you become a genetic counselor once you've graduated from one of those programs. And really the truth is that the medical genetics has its place, but we are not just bodies, no, put together. We are more than
Mm.
just organs. So that's where the
Mm.
psychological counseling elements come in to address this person that we are talking to,
Mm.
beyond their genetics or beyond their organs that may not be working in a normal or
Mm.
ideal kind of a way, to talk about any kind of natural issues that it might raise from recognizing that you might have a condition, and to help people understand that and also cope with it. These are elements that are largely left untouched. Most, the average medical appointment is like, ठीक है, come do this, go, like it's over.
Yeah.
It really speaks to the
Yeah.
person behind the body somehow. So genetic
Mm.
counseling, acknowledges the medical familial as well as the psychological implications of anything that has to do with genetics
Mm.
and health.
Nice. I've never heard. I should read up.
Yeah, this talk show is becoming into some kind of a let's educate people
Some
about
long.
counseling. So who plays the veena now? Is it there just because it used to?
No, it's just there. I know we've been like, my parents have been saying we should just sell it
Mhm.
and we should just give it away. But like, I'm just hoping that one of my friends' kids want to learn the veena, so I give it away to them.
All right.
So it stays within the family.
Yeah, no, I understand
Yeah,
this.
I don't want like a stranger to have it as yet. But
Yeah.
sometimes I also think it's such a worldly possession to hold on to. But yeah.
I mean, all kinds of possessions are really worldly, but we have our sentimental attachments. They all mean something to us, no? Because otherwise, like, really nothing matters. But that's not. You can't live like that, no, without meaning and without connections and without Yeah, just making sense of life in whatever way makes sense for you. So I understand. I understand. No, it must go to someone that is deserving of it, that will take good care of it. And it's
Care
almost,
of it, yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
this
So
is
it
how
stays like
heirloom, Shalini.
within the family.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, heirloom, yeah.
Yeah,
But
very,
it's so weird that how we connected on Instagram and this happens, right?
it's really cool. For you guys who are watching this, like this, I have not met you before even, Shalini, and this has been
No, no, no,
conversation.
at all. Yeah.
What were you expecting, when I asked you to, do you want to be on a talk show that you have never heard of before, says this person you have
No,
never.
I was okay. I think I've been getting a lot of queries for the interviews and everything. So I did a few, so I wasn't really surprised. And I remember you because I know you comment on some of them. I think I think at some point I checked your profile out to say that okay, who's this kind of thing. So it's stuck in my. So when you said Pooja, then I said okay, I know this chick. So you weren't like stranger.
Isn't that crazy how cool it is that social media is truly connecting? Because I know so much crap is said about social media, and I know that the crap exists for sure.
I want friendship with you.
To say the least, they want yeah, little bit more than friendship. Like what has your social media experience been like for you?
I'm very slightly above general population. No, I'm runner. I'm disabled. I am mostly fall in sister category. So if you see, like there are these Facebook posts that came up after I ran and everything. And then like there was this picture of me running and then everybody says, hats off to you, sis. Why would you patronize me with calling you sister, right? Like it's such a, but I see where they were coming from. Like they want to completely desexualize me.
That is horrible.
So, yeah, so my DMs are pretty. They're very clean actually. I haven't even got, I want to do friendship with you. Because somehow you're disabled, you deserve that kind of respect.
Yes.
Most disabled, like we've clearly very desexualized. I don't think we're looked at as fashionable, as beautiful, as sexy and all of that. I mean, you do find some of that happening right now, but like I think, but usually it's very, you're desexualized.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah.
I'm thinking like, not that I'm missing anything on my DMs. I'm like, thank you very much, but
okay, I will send you the really obscene message as soon as we hang up. Okay.
Oh right. God.
I'll make you feel sexy, baby.
Oh God, I can't wait for it. No, Pooja, I don't want your charity. I'm going to do this on my own.
But this is not just because of your disability, okay? Look at that face. That would look so good on my penis.
Yeah. Okay, now that makes sense. Now I'm liking it.
It's horrible. It's the worst. But also on the flip side, you talk about something that most people don't talk about, and it's something that it's true, is the desexualization of people who have disability. You're right, to be put on some kind of pedestal, zabardasti ka, oh, you inspire me. Like you are not a person at all. Like, you have become this,
Completely, like it's random. Like you're on the roads, you're running, you're doing your own shit, and you're so inspiring. And I'm like so like I want to like get a t-shirt printer. Like if I've inspired you, this is my account number. Transfer money. Like I need to be gained in some form by all this inspiration that I'm doing to you. But it's so like I just feel like sometimes most of us who are disabled, we don't do a lot of things to be inspiring. We just do them because it's who we are and it's an extension of the person that we are.
The inspiration stuff is a way for people to make themselves feel better.
Yeah. What's your excuse? I hate those ones. Some disabled person is running. What's your excuse?
I am a lazy fuck. That is my excuse. I think it's something that able-bodied people might do in order to feel better, because they do actually already feel in a way that they are unwilling to accept. So when you feel superior to somebody, you don't want to project that. So instead you project someone else as being superior. Oh, I am inspired by you, but really, who are you? I think it comes from there.
But I'll also give credit to a lot of people. Like they just use the word, inspiration because that's what's used most often. But I think a lot of them are sometimes genuine as well, and they like really like what you're doing, or they go back with like, shit, I can do something with my life, or want to do something with my life, and life's not so bad. Like I know, like when I've had like I do these talks a lot, and I've had multiple moments where I've had like really young girls who've come back and waited out till the entire conversation is over and had tears in my eyes and just given me a hug and said that, like I can go back and deal with what I'm dealing with right now. And I didn't have to know what they were dealing with.
Right.
But sometimes just that, that makes you feel really good because you feel like you've actually been able to make a change in someone's life. So there is that as well.
I get that. So I get that there's obviously, things aren't as, I dislike when we tend to oversimplify things. So I get that
Yes,
there's nuance to this discussion as well. So on the one end of the spectrum, you have someone that is just pointlessly inspired, like you were saying, like, what is your excuse, like, or whatever. And on the other end, you have someone that is able to see a human being struggle of whatever nature and see that, there is something that is truly shared. Because humans struggle, whether it is physical or emotional or whatever. I think there is certainly something that transcends our bodies. So if we're able to recognize that someone has dealt with whatever they have gone through, then perhaps you can also deal with your own stuff. And that can be just helpful to recognize that you're not alone in whatever your struggles are. While we all
struggles are.
Struggles, if someone can deal with theirs, perhaps I can also deal with my own, and so we can all learn from each other and have those conversations with each other. So I get what you're saying is that there are also those kinds of interactions that feel meaningful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are lots that are meaningful, like especially I think kids, right? Like I think the best audience and the best people, kids, because they'll tell you what they think right to your face, right? I've had a kid who walked up to me and said, wow, I like your shoes, they're so cool. And you're like, oh, like, come on. Or I've had like this little kid who walked up to me and like, had both his hands on. He says, what happened to your hands? Like, really, what happened to your hands? And I'm like, and I didn't want to tell him the whole reason. So I just said, I had an accident. And he's like, okay, but like, why does this look different from this? And I'm like, okay. And then I said, okay. So I said this, they had to stitch it up. And then he's like, okay, so then where did the blood go? And I'm like, okay, dude, like, I said, no, like the doctors know how to fix it. So it's not like whatever. And then he kind of touched it. And then he's like, oh, this is soft. And I'm like, yeah. And then he turns back and there were a few of his friends. He said, come touch. It's very soft. Maybe they had like this whole discussion that this was scary. And then like, he was a brave one. And he said that, listen, like, come on, this is not so. And then they all came and they touched. And then they're going to go back with looking at disability very differently. That it isn't something that is scary. It isn't something that is not to be discussed. It isn't something that shouldn't be out in the open, because they're going to go back and say that I saw this lady who didn't have her legs or her hands, but she was running and it seemed normal. And that's a great image for them to go back to. So if they meet somebody else with a disability, they're probably going to go back and ask them and not feel shy about it. And I think that's like a great thing to do for children, because that's the generation you want to influence.
I think that is awesome. And it is true. I love that you use the word normalizing, because this is what it is, as human beings, there's all kinds of us, and it is helpful to have all those different kinds of people somehow represented in some ways, where we're seeing such a skewed version of what it is to be a human being, that it is kind of ridiculous. So I also get that these are the kinds of things that in a sense make it really worth your while to have these interactions with these kids who will perhaps forever have changed how they may have otherwise viewed disabilities. Like,
absolutely,
can't talk about it, is so taboo, but they have just basically poked your hand, asked you questions, and
questions,
like, okay, this stuff is normal. But beyond all of that, they have talked to you and they've realized that a person with disability doesn't have to be talked to like, oh,
yeah.
So they've just had regular conversation with a regular person who happens to also have disability. And I think that is a powerful experience to have given to anybody. And this is what you're saying, is that this is the kind of generation you want to influence. So cool, so cool. Thank you so much, Shalini, for doing this. Was there anything else that you wanted to say today, or
No, thank you
Have
so
such
much.
a
I
nice
had such a
conversation.
fantastic time with you. I really enjoyed this as well. Like sometimes when I have interviews, it is same things. Tell me about what happened and who inspired you, and and tell me 3 of your biggest struggles.
Oh,
It wasn't one of those. So yeah, I'm so glad that this was different. So thank you. I enjoyed this myself.
so cool. Thank you so much for saying this. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. We have two ways that we can end this. So the games don't end with just during the talk. We can end it either with death by drama, which is where for about 15 seconds we just say our goodbyes in the most ridiculous dramatic way ever, or pointlessly pensive, where we say nothing but we just have very, very poignant and deep thoughts with no words being said, all by ourselves for another 15 seconds. So, how would you like to end death by drama?
I think we should do drama. I think drama.
All right, fine. If that's the kind of ending you want, Shalini.
Just shut up, okay? Just shut up. You're always like this. You always want to end things like this. I always knew it.
This is so terrible. I can't believe this is already over. I hate you.
I think you're just
so
jealous.
much fun to talk
I think you're just jealous that my DMs are cleaner than yours.
Stop it, okay? How can you say this?
You are unsanskari, and that's why though you're wearing sari, you are unsanskari.
Yes, I know this. Why do you think I'm overcompensating by wearing a sari and a bindi? I just want people to stop seeing me as a sex symbol.
No, but the hair doesn't go with it. Get it all black, you have a better chance at it.
No, there is no chance of anything. If you have breasts, you are fucked.
I'm so sorry. I forgot about the breasts, and that that still counts in making you unsanskari. I'm so sorry.
It is terrible. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Breasts are the worst.
Yes.
Totally unsanskari. How dare women have breasts?
How dare you?
I think this is the problem. Okay then. Bye.
Bye.
All right, ladies and gents, and everyone else who believes binary is bullshit. That was Shalini. Thank you so much for being on the show.
We're going to go back with looking at disability very differently. That it isn't something that is scary. It isn't something that is not to be discussed. It isn't something that happened, because they're going to go back and say that I saw this lady who didn't have her legs or her hands, but she was running and it seemed normal. That's a great image for them to go back to. That's the generation you want to influence. I'm Shalini, and I've had the best time ever.
Yeah!
Thanks for watching, and if you've had the best time ever, don't forget to like, comment, share, and definitely subscribe so that we can continue to have the best time ever next time. I'll see ya.